All right, hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Crackdown. I actually didn't give you guys the 30 seconds. This was pretty rushed, but yeah, we are definitely going to have a good episode here. We're going to be doing an hour and 10 minutes about with Vander. We're going to be talking about LEC primarily, and then afterwards, we are going to be discussing a little bit about the NEOM deal that everyone is talking about right now with LEC. Huge news because of the implications that has regarding how LEC works. But first, let's keep things light. We'll talk to Vander a little bit about LEC. We'll keep the, murdering LBGTQ people for the end of the show. But yeah, how are you doing, Vander? You ready to jump into some of this LEC?
Yeah, sure, I'm good. Just finished scrims like 10 minutes ago and here's.
Must be pretty surreal for you, Vander. Come on, mate. I remember when you first came into it wasn't LEC back then, it was obviously LCS. When you were with Roccat and you came in, if people don't know, the Roccat team during, I think, like the middle of the split, you guys were top of the league. You were like top ranked. It wasn't until the end when Alliance and that came on stronger.
Yeah, I think we were first, for like...
for most of the split. Yeah, but think about how crazy this is, dude. That is 6 years ago, over 6 years ago, because that was spring split as well. 6 years later in the summer split, you are tied for first place again in Europe.
Yeah, it's quite crazy.
You've had a pretty wild career.
Yeah, I mean, not many players actually are as long-standing as I am. So like me, Jankos, Reckless, I guess. Just us three now, who played in 2K14.
Oh, is that
Don't
really
you find
it?
that kind of, isn't it? I bet there's almost no one else if you think about it, right? I mean, the only other names were people like Freezing and they're not around anymore. And so has obviously half of them left the region. What about this though, Vander? Like, the problem is, all of Jankos' accomplishments come in the last couple of years where he's had all this amazing success with G2. So he's got his rep up, yeah. But after how many years you spent with him, it's like you've been more in the shadows these last few years. So is it satisfying to be number one again? To be in a position to win, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, for sure it feels better to fight for the top spots than to be like in the middle of the pack, right? I mean, for me, it's like, so after H2K, I guess, it was like my... I mean, actually, I was in Schalke as well, that we were second place.
That's right, yes,
Fnatic.
sure.
Mm-hmm. So it was like 2 years ago, and then yeah, I had this 2K19 season that I wasn't picked up by an LEC team in the first split, and then second split we were fourth. So it's not that terrible, right? But we also built this team from the ground up. So I think for last year's summer it was quite a success that we got a top 4, right? And we could actually go even higher, but we lost to 5 against Schalke, quite close.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to ask you how it must have felt in that 2019 split to not be picked up, because you're somebody who, we've been talking about it, even the way we introduced you, is you're like one of the most underappreciated players in LEC. I mean, when you're always solid. People in the LEC always tell me like, oh yeah, that guy's still like good. He's still like a reliable piece of the rogue puzzle. But seeing like you not get a job when you have like these rookies come in that like they were faltering and stuff like that, like how did you even deal with that mentally? Because that must have been a struggle.
I was a bit. I was really surprised. I'm not gonna lie that this happened, but well, I was kinda thinking what to do. I knew there were some things I could fix for myself. So like comes to champion pool and maybe play a bit more aggressive in general. Try to do like take away maybe some things that Hidisang was doing, for example, and keep the good things I do that he doesn't always do, right?
Not dying 100 times in a game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sometimes he likes to do that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just looked more on myself. Like look to play more aggressive, play more champions in general, and then I actually thought to myself that one split off would be like maybe beneficial towards that, so I can try to change my style a little bit. And then yeah, I was thinking where I should join to have the biggest chance to get back to LEC. And when I looked at like supports and bot lanes, I thought Row could be like a good shot.
A good fit. I mean, but at the time you were playing with Woolite, right? Like that was the person who ended up being your AD carry. Is Woolite like, were there redeemable qualities? I mean, I know that like his laning was consistently good, I would say, but like just in team fighting, he's always had the standard Woolite ints where he just gets caught and dies like at the beginning of a team fight, and he became pretty much a meme within LEC for that. Like, how did you feel laning with a player like Woolite? Do you think he is like actually underrated? I mean, I know this guy was like the king of Poland, right? Like he was the king of Ultraliga for a while. So like, what do you think?
I mean,
about
he still is. I mean, he plays now. I think they're first in the regular season, and playoffs are coming soon in Polish league. I think Woolite in general is underrated and he has this kind of bad reputation for getting caught and inting in team fights. I think he for sure is like LEC level and he's bad. Actually, problem is that LEC is really stacked. It's really stacked in those ADCs. So even the teams that are low rankings, their ADCs are pretty good.
Of course.
But yeah, I think Woolite is a good player in general, and he changed a lot from his Rocket days back when he was with me. He's not he's not unreliable anymore. I think he deserves a shot in the long run.
By the way, being as you alluded to there, because if people don't know, because I know people forget like the chronological order of the story. As he said, when he first came in last year in Rogue, he wasn't actually a starter. People don't know this because they think you were like a recycled name. You were in the Ultra League team, which is basically like the National League's team. And then at the time, I think it was HQ and Wadid was the bot lane actually for Rogue at the time. And then after that, they brought up Vander and Woolite, and then eventually basically the whole Ultra League team. Right? Since in the Ultra League team, Vander, you're by far the most experienced player, and some of the other players that you'd never even be at the LEC level. I'm sure naturally you have like a veteran quality anyway, but have you during your Rogue time tried to be like actively, consciously more of a leader? Do you try to be like a leader in the game and a voice that, do you make decisions and things like this? Have you tried to make that a real thing?
I mean, yeah, for sure, especially in the first two splits we played together. So in Ultraliga, when all the boys came in, I was trying to help a lot, and I was like calling most of the stuff. And summer split was already like shifting towards. I mean, I wanted as well people to like help me more and make their own calls and decisions, because I think it's just better for both parties, say. And I think that's also what we worked a lot in the spring split. And I think, let's say this split, Larsen is calling a lot of stuff, inspired as well. So, and Hans too. So I think it's more spread out right now. But yeah, I think they needed this experience and like see how it goes to get a bit more confident in this regard. So I'm not that. I mean, I'm still like trying to help, right? But I think it's not that on me because of in-game shot calling. It's more
yeah, I mean, I was thinking specifically like your team got a lot of criticism for coaching staff in spring split, because obviously in summer you guys came in, you guys were super good for a rookie team, right? Finished top 4 in the regular season, and then next split happened, right? So spring split happened, and your team didn't really see the growth that people were expecting. Since people saw like your baseline being 4th, they're like, oh, give this team, another split. They're suddenly going to be top 30 fighting with like you. Instead of Mad, it was supposed to be you guys fighting with G2 Fnatic, trying to be that like new team in.
Basically, the jump up they made this split, like what Mad Lions did from spring to summer, you guys were supposed to do from summer last year to this spring, and people feel like you didn't, right? People feel like you just were kind of all right in spring.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the question that I'm asking is like, do you think that there were like problems within the team for like coaching staff, or like people not like being adaptable to what the coaching staff had? Do you think that like things just didn't fit the team in spring? Like, why do you guys think you guys didn't have that same trajectory that Mad Lions did, for example?
I'm not sure exactly. I mean, what we changed from spring to summer is that we wanted Larsen to step in more in the game and always like shot call more and outside lanes in mid game, what he wants to do and what's like his plan as well. And I think this helped a lot. I think in terms of jungle, also inspired picking up more like champs that do something. Play Sojuani all the time, so I think it helps as well from personal view. And yeah, I think also Finn is playing better right now than in spring. I think we just all play better, and then Larsen is more of a voice in the team. And it's not like we were bad in spring. I think we're okay, right? But we're just a bit, I mean, not good enough to fight the top teams necessarily. Like, would always lose to them some regard. I think it's just a lot of small things that came together. I think that's why we better.
Yeah, I mean, it
nothing like huge, to be honest.
It makes
the
sense.
biggest thing would be Lars having bigger voice in the game.
Yeah, so I guess the thing about Larsen that people have kind of been criticizing is it feels like you guys mainly rely on Larsen to like get these massive like leads and like carry team fights super hard. with these like control mages and things like that. So even though you guys are tied with Mad Lions, it seems like the overall perception within like the LEC is that Mad Lions is like the best team right now. Do you feel like that's like a fair thing that people say? Like, do you think that there's any problems with how Rogue approaches the game stylistically that makes them not makes your team not as dominant as a team like Mad Lions, or do you think that, you know, people just blow it out of proportion?
I just think we didn't play as many crazy picks or strats as Mad Lions did. So they played like the Senna Wukong that people really got surprised first off because it was like a new thing, right? A lot of teams tried it in scrims, but not many actually used it in official games, and they really liked it. And they play like Pantheon support, for example. So they just, I think they're more like coin flippy than us. They like to go for those coin flip plays more than us, and that's why I think people just like them.
I've got a little thing to say on this topic, actually, because I think the way you set it up was good there, Dom, the way you actually tried to show like how people themselves are characterizing the team. But the problem I have with that whole angle is that they only ever contrast Rogue with Mad Lions in the same way as they only ever contrast Team Liquid with Cloud9, so they can diss them. They never contrast them with the teams below them that are supposed to have way better players. Like, I don't give a fuck what you think about Cloud9 and Team Liquid. Let's keep that same energy when we talk about TSM and Team Liquid. And let's talk about TSM's wins and losses, shall we? So in the same sense, what I would say is this. I totally understand why people think Mad Lions is the better team. I think overall they look like they have the better players, and they definitely can play multiple playing styles that work very well in the meta right now. As Vander's saying, they even have loads of like unique picks they've brought in that show that they're willing to experiment. So if you do that and you win, you're obviously going to get all the plaudits. Whereas I would say, yes, I think Rogue is a little bit more limited. Like, they have to play through certain players. That's no crime. If you have LeBron James on your team, you're going to play through LeBron James most of the time. You're not going to go, well, everyone should get their chance to in the passing game. You're going to go, no, it's LeBron has the ball in his hand at all times, and whatever happens beyond that, that's what we're going to win and lose. And so if you have Larson, why wouldn't you play that way? My question would be this. Anyone who wants to criticize Rogue, you better not be a fan of G2 or Fnatic, because how could you even dare do it? First of all, Rogue's mid laner, way better than your mid laner, whoever it is, even on the same picks. So if it's so easy, how can Rogue, with just this mid laner and worse players at every other position, perform just one style? You guys can't do that. You can't copy that. You can't replicate that. I can give Caps and fucking Nemesis the same Oriana pick tomorrow, the same champions for all their better teammates, and they won't win the same games. So I think that's the angle that I don't like about the Rogue one. I don't mind people saying, like, look at the difference between Rogue and Mad Lions. I agree. I think Mad Lions looks like the better team. But my problem is this, is I get why people are not giving TL the credit, because the rest of LCS looks shit. LEC is supposed to be a banger league. We're supposed to have teams that go down to 8th and 9th position that might still make playoffs that are supposed to be fucking good. So I actually don't think Rogue get the credit they deserve. Like, I definitely don't understand the angle, by the way. Like, they just went one way and playing through one player. It's like, if you ever watched fucking like LPL ever, like, do you know what they do there? Like, in the LPL, basically, here's the spoiler if you've never watched the LPL. Every good team has 2 good players in the carry positions, and they just 24/7 draft and play around those 2 players. So if the meta is top lane and mid lane carries, but your best player is Uzi, you don't care. You just play the ADC comps all day long anyway. If your best player is the Shy, and now it's in bot lane meta, doesn't matter. The Shy picks fucking Jace or whatever and just tries to 1v1 the lane. Like, they just play through whoever's strong. Like, what's funny is the way the Asians have actually beaten Westerners is by not fucking overthinking it like it's Ender's Game and it's some galactic quest. Like, they go, oh, it's a video game, right? What am I good at the game? I'll just play to that strength. And then that makes them geniuses somehow that have, like, fucking conquered, like, nuclear fission or something. In the West, we're like, but I don't understand. I thought I was supposed to play the best champion in the game. It's like, no, you just put the best tools in your best player's hands and let the chips fall where they may, right? So I feel like a lot of that criticism of Rogue, like, it's not legit. It's just like they oversell the angle, I think, a bit.
I mean, I think.
Well, I also think that I mean, let's say you brought up RNG and UZI, right? I think they've shown that this strat can work for a long time, but has some cap, and they couldn't even beat like G2 that had like way weaker bot lane than them at Worlds, because like top lane was like 2 ahead. That's just the side. So I don't think it's good to just play through one guy and have one strat, but I don't think it's true about us at all that we play through Larsen mostly, because we actually don't play through him too much.
Is he just
let
that
him
good?
just farm. I mean, it's like depends, right? Because there are like some games that he got fed like randomly because of some ganks or I mean, yeah, mainly like early game ganks from Inspired. I did like level 1 gank against Fnatic. No, it was Origen actually. I also got ahead there. But I don't think we play through him most of the time necessarily. It's like every team will try to get like vision around mid and stuff like this. And then we also do this. What's he really good about is like he just sees how to get a lot of farm by himself. I think also Hans doesn't get enough praise. I think he's like best AD right now, and
Damn.
he contributes a lot to our wins.
Why is he the best AD right now?
He puts a lot of pressure, I think, on enemies. It also gives me a lot of time to roam, and then when I have free time, I can help Larsen as well, right? It's not like I pray for Larsen. It's just we win lanes, so I have the opportunity to go somewhere else. We got like a lot of Heralds for free because I was first unlocked on the map, and I guess people don't really see it too much. Stuff like this. Yep. But yeah, I think also Hans has like those moments where he just dies randomly sometimes because he gets too cocky in the games. So there's like a little thing that people might not like about him, but I think it's like really easy to play with him in general. I feel like we can fight and do it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I guess to Thorin's point, the one thing I would say is like the reason why I feel like people have that perception of Rogue is also within the community, right? Like I don't remember if it was Mickey X. I believe it was Mickey X, but it could have been somebody else on G2 where they were talking about how they're like 8-0 against Rogue all time. They never feel like they can lose a game to Rogue. Even this last game that looked like they should have, like, I mean, the last game that you guys just played over the weekend, I think it was on Saturday, it looked like that game should have never been won by G2. I mean, you guys were so far ahead. Of course not. You guys were so far ahead of that game, and it ended up just like all going wrong at some point. But yeah. So I mean, I think that a lot of it comes from within the LEC as well. Like the LEC teams, for some reason, believe that like Mad Lions, G2, like even when people are doing the like little prediction for who's gonna make it to Worlds, which we'll get Vander's opinion on here shortly, but everyone's always like, oh yeah, Mad Lions, Fnatic and G2 will probably get their shit together, and then they're like, and I guess Rogue, maybe Origen, and it's like, wait, how are you putting Origen in the same conversation as Rogue for like Worlds right now? I mean, Origen looks so much worse. Obviously that was before this last week, but you get the point. Like for some reason,
what does Vander think about this then? Because basically, what he's talking about, Vander, is like everyone now gives the G2 and Fnatic cause the status we all back in when you first came in LEC used to give to Fnatic. You know, the old Expeke, Swaz, Fnatic, or OG. Exactly. Like with those teams, it didn't even matter if they finished like 5th in the regular season. You knew in the playoffs they'd be like twice as good and they'd probably win the league, right? So no one ever really like panicked too much when like OG, for example, wasn't like top of the division. That you knew like eventually you get it. Like people still basically do that now, but with G2 and Fnatic, they still think they're like the royalty of LEC. Do you kind of agree? Do you think that it's just given that eventually they'll figure it out and they'll get back? Or do you think people are actually not being like, not in the moment? Like people are just judging from last split and they're not looking at the real teams now? Where do you come down on it?
I think when it comes to G2, it kind of is like this. I think everyone from G2 plays pretty well for most of the part, except Perks right now, but he has some like issues, so he didn't play the game too much. Yep. So I think if Perks will come back to his old shape, they will be a really strong team again. But when it comes down to Fnatic, I don't know, honestly. I don't think they... I wouldn't be sure about them being on the top again, right? So I think G2, you can be kinda safe about it, like don't panic about it. But when it comes to Fnatic, I think they might have way more issues, and their players are like also more tied to like some metas or some champions, so it will be harder for them to get back on that.
If people don't know, by the way, this next week is the week to see what's going to happen to Fnatic, because in the next week they play Rogue and G2, and even though Fnatic is 3rd in the standings, literally between 2nd to last place and 3rd in the standings in LEC is 2 games. So if they go 0-2, they could be out of the playoff, like not out of the race, but they could be out of playoffs. That's how ridiculous the league is right now. So, like this next week's going to be wild. Like I think actually, the only time I've ever seen the league anything like this is actually if you, I mean,
season 3.
Time. Yeah, the old one where like Lemon Dogs and alternate attacks and all those. Basically, there was a split where almost every team took a turn in 1st or 2nd place.
Yeah,
and at the end it was like a 5-way tie. Yeah, that was before you. That was back when you were pretending to be an Eddie Carey player, mate. But I know all about you, mate. I know everything. I just keep it all secret sometimes. No, but what do you think about Fnatic then? Why Fnatic? Are you pulling back on them a little bit? Because I also agree, by the way. Like I personally called them to be dead like 2 weeks ago, but they just. I don't know how they've won these miracle games like that fucking one they stole from Misfits. I thought they were done already, but I feel like there's some problems. So what are the issues?
Well, I would say Hilisank is not playing too well right now, and also, I mean, he's really good on some champions like Rakan or Pyke, and then he's not that good on other champions, I would say. He's also good on Thresh, so it really depends what champs are in the meta for him. If you can freely play, if Rakan's is really strong, it's already like way better for him. Then Nemesis, I mean, Nemesis is alright player, but he's not like superstar, I would say. He's not on the level of like Caps or
Larson.
Humanoid or Larsen, I think. So you have like a bit weaker mid laner. He's quite reliable though, so I will give him that. I think Serpman is good in general, and then Reckless as well. And Whip was also like.
Is Nemesis reliable? I mean, I guess technically he always finishes top 2 in every fucking game he plays in LEC, so always finishes at least second. How's he reliable?
I mean, he plays more to like. Just farm, right? This is like playstyle farming.
Sure, I see what you mean by that, right? Yes. You know how he's going to play the game. I see what you mean, right?
Playing to like TP bot or something, that's what they like to do.
Sure.
Play some TF or Rihanna and then keep your TP to her bot lane. And I think this strat worked a lot in the past for them as well, but now people are kind of aware of it. I mean, let's say last game, I feel like I was losing my lance on cooldown on bot lane. There was like always 1 or 2 wards I was seeing, so I was like shocked, you know.
The problem is obviously the guys in Fnatic must play a lot of Dota 2 because they keep trying to force the meta from Dota 2. Like they've got like a tri-lane bottom with like 2 supports and then a carry, like Reckless and 2 supports. Whereas like League of Legends, it's more, especially in Europe, it's more about having like a really good mid player. Like you guys need a mid player. You've got like 2 supports. So in Dota 2, Fnatic could be a great team. In League of Legends, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the person that's been that at least like in the last game where they played really well, the person that I feel like needs to step up for Fnatic is Blippo. I mean, when they were destroying the league in spring, he was somebody who people thought should have got MVP like before like the final series. Like
some of the picks he was making.
Yeah, like he was winning lane with like you'd see press the attack Malphite. You're like, oh, there's no way press the attack Malphite will be a good lane into Aatrox. He like solo kills the guy level 2. It's like what the fuck?
Yeah, like he solo killed Silas level 2.
Yeah, it was a Rome, right? I think it was a Rome. Or Rome. I don't know how you fucking pronounce that guy's name. Point is, he got clapped level 2 by press attack Malphite, and we didn't forget that shit. So, yeah, I mean, when I see him playing like that, when he's on form like that, I'm like, all right, Fnatic has got it because you need one of the lanes play aggressively, like getting their own leads, and I feel like that was Blippo by himself before. Nemesis is gonna farm, Reckless is gonna play off, whatever Hilly does in lane. Like if Hilly plays the lane well and gets Reckless fed, that's one thing. But Reckless is not going to dictate the lane himself. I really feel like Fnatic's the most scary when Blippo is popping off. And I mean, at least we got to see a little bit of that last week in the last game they played. He did actually pop off. So I'm just hoping that form continues because I feel like that's what they need for the league. And then also one thing that we could bring you in on is just overall, it seems like a lot of the top lane. It seems like top lane is, for my money, the weakest position in LEC right now. When you look at like all the top teams, like a bunch of people just have these weak side top players, right? Like, and that's what everyone categorizes them as. But to me, it's like, I mean, a lot of the top laners are just the weakest part of their teams. It doesn't have anything to do with like the play style. But what do you think about this, Vander?
I think in Europe we love to play through bot and mid, and we all play like quite aggressive there. So I feel like it's better to snowball bot than snowball top if you have to choose, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe there is some truth to what you said because Vander is playing like World of Warcraft all day, and he's the best top in Europe. So
yep,
that's a bit weird.
Oh, I think you've nailed it there. Like I agree with. I think you actually did a good turnaround on the characterization there, Dom. It's both. It's like it is one of the weaker roles in my opinion, but also if you look at the absolute best players, right? On paper, it's supposed to be Vander, Alfari, and then maybe Bwipo as the third in the past, right?
Yep.
Well, of those players, I think the only one who even comes close to actually being played through as a carry is maybe Bwipo sometimes. Because half the time in the good G2 lineups, they were using fucking Wonder would be the guy doing the troll pick in like their weird comps that were running. And then Alfari, as everyone knows, they just don't play through. Like it's almost like they've just told that guy he is Impact from season 5 or something. Like he's just not allowed to ever be played through. So I think it's a mixture of both. It's a weaker role, and Europe just doesn't seem to want to play through it. Like even if you have those players, you use them as if they're just a roamie, basically. So it doesn't really matter if it is a roamie or fucking ones up there, does it? If you're never going to play through them.
I personally just don't completely buy that, you know, like that's what I was trying to push back on, and like the way I phrased the question was, it seems like a lot of teams default to using a weak side top laner because their top laner is just like a worse player than their AD carry. Like AD carry is just a stack role in Europe, and like if you can win a game playing through a top laner. We've seen it in other regions. It's not possible. It's not impossible to just.
You can, but nobody seems to want to, though.
Yeah, but I think it's just because the top laners aren't reliable with their leads. Like players like Arome. I mean, you saw like the Jax game where he gets really far ahead, and you know, like they play through him, they give him the Rift Herald. You know, like that's how you see what player is being played through. It's when they do that Rift Herald swap, and they're like, all right, who is getting this first blood turret gold like by themselves, and they leave it on the island, and they give that shit to Arome, and then he just does some like random dive behind the tier 2, and the game becomes almost completely unraveled. They somehow bring it back, but it's like he's not able to carry the game consistently himself. And then when you look at players like Alfari, I mean, it's so hard for me to not say if you put Alfari in one of these top teams, they wouldn't just be automatically better. I mean, the guy pretty much plays weak side the whole game. And when you just look at the pure mechanics of laning, like when he plays GP, when he plays these types of like lane champions or whatever, like the way that he is manipulating the wave to freeze in front of him, the advantages that he's getting in terms of CS, like all that stuff looks like on a different level than the other players that are on these like winning teams. So I mean, it's no, I guess it's no like joke, or it's there's not like a what am I trying to say? So it's like it's not there for no reason. Like the whole meme about all these players being weak side top laner. Yeah, there's a greater truth to the fact that like Finn is being like, oh, it's like Fint, right? Like that's what everyone's spamming. It's like, oh yeah, he gets caught a couple times and dies in top lane. But it's okay, you know, like he's just playing weak side. Who cares? Like, I mean, he just sacrifices for the team, you know. He picks like all these bad matchups, and you know, it's up for the rest of the team to carry. Oh, you know, Dan and how he has to play like that. I mean, Kabi is like the superstar of this team. Like Kabi and Forbidden are the stars of this team. They're the ones that are going to carry. You know, like I just don't
use that characterization to make up for the fact that the player probably is as good as you think he is. Right? Okay.
That's what
I think. What do you think, Vander? Do you have any thoughts on this topic?
Well, I kind of noticed that the planers, when they get lead in Europe at least, they often like to throw it in some way. So they get caught. Like, I mean, let's say you're ahead of like 2 levels of enemy ADC, and then you just try to 1v2 them because you feel strong and you die. It's like disaster because there's like so much catch XP, and suddenly like your enemy is one level ahead just because you died stupidly one time. And I think bot laners, they kind of respect their lead more in a way. So this could be it as well. I mean, we try to play full top as well in scrims. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's not like the problem that Finn is not good enough. It's just he will do something stupid at some point.
Yeah, but isn't that not being good enough?
But like everyone does it. Like Roma, let's say, I remember last game they played against, who did they play against? He played like Renekton, right?
Yeah.
It was Fnatic.
He played into Cho'Gath.
Yes. Yeah, so they dove top, level 3.
And then he just dies immediately.
And then he just died 1v1, right? To Cho'Gath. So it's like, and then your bot lane can't really, Fnatic froze bot lane and ganked Kai'Sa and Karzi. So at least Roman played well later in teamfights, so he kind of carried this game anyways. But yeah, if I see my top laner dies like this after we just dove top, then a bit sad.
No, Vander.
One thing I would say. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, Vander just doesn't understand. Like, the reason why he suicided there was because of like the wave. Like, by shoving in that last minion, it put Bwipo in a horrible lane state, and that's why he developed such a CS lead. It wasn't possible to have that freeze without that death. That's what the top laner is going to tell you.
I think he's half trolling when he says that, by the way. That was like a troll answer, but whatever. You get the premise. No, the thing I would say is this, though, Dom. The way I would push back, though, is there are just so few teams in the world in general who seem to play hard through top. Like, even the teams who literally have the Shy and players like who are like fucking god tier status, even they don't seem to do it very much. So what I would say is this, right? What I always hear back from pros on talk shows like this, and even if you talk in private, is they always say to me 2 things. One is that like just in the way League of Legends works at the moment, like a top laner with 2 kills isn't as valuable as like an ADC that has 2 kills. They just say I have to trust them on that, make my own decision. And then the other part that's sort of connected to what I want to ask Vander about is they would also say, kind of alludes to something he talked about earlier, that it is so essential to unlock the support on the map in the current meta game for the last, let's say, year and a half, that like you almost have to play T or bot lane to some degree to try and free them up. So do you have any thoughts on that, Vander?
I mean, that's for sure. In bot lane there are 2 people that play, right? So if you get ahead or you can have some spare time in the game, it's always better to have it on 2 people than 1. And I think also it comes down to metas a lot, so it depends what champs are played. Now there's like a lot of all-in supports or like bards, so you don't want to leave bard just by himself because you just like roam and traverse the whole map, and then when it's like Nautilus, Leonas and stuff like this, everyone can make an easy ganks and just easy setups. And in top lanes more like GPs, Orns, like you don't really care about them.
Unkillable
right?
shit,
yeah. But if the meta shifts, let's say back to like Irelia top lane, some Camille's that we see right now. I mean, when it's like Chameleon game, then you already see both teams are playing more for top side, right? So I think it depends a lot on champions mainly. Like in ideal war, like if all the players are equally good, right? It will only depend on champion, which lane you should play.
Sure.
Yeah, but what you said is true that bot lane is like 2 players, so that's something in it as well.
Because the thing you said earlier is something, maybe you can expand on it a bit. When you said that people won't notice that because you were the first on the map, basically, that was how you were able to impact the game. Like, what do you mean when you say that to like a layman who they just play solo queue, so they don't know what you're referring to?
Okay, so I mean, let's say on bot lane, you're winning as bot lane, right? So you make sure that they don't have like wards in lane because you sweep it, or in river. So just pink river, no wards in lane, and then you slow push the wave with your ADC. And now you have 2 choices. You can either dive with the slow push and then in bot lane, or you can base and go to top side as support, and your AD can still stay bot side, and some of them have TP even, right? So if any bot lane decides to match you on top side and they lose like wave because they're scared of dive, you can TP back there and match, so they just lose wave for free.
Yeah.
So that's like a big advantage, right, for support, that you can be somewhere and they don't really know what's your next step. Are you diving? Are you going top side now, and maybe you can defend top lane or do Herald? So that's a big thing, right? And when you play through top, you kinda know what this guy wants to do, right? It's just good top laners will like if you play through top, it's nice to have like TP advantage. So you play heavily through top side, and the top laner can TP bot and kind of defend your bot lane, but also TP is like longer CD now than before in the early game. So be also one of the reasons why it's harder to transition the elite to serve them.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I think actually that unfortunately supports will never get their due. Like you only basically get credit as a support if you're just in one of the best lanes or your team's just the best. That's just the way that supports get their credit. Because the problem is like some of the shit that supports had to do the last few years in League, it doesn't have a proper metric. Like even though we have that thing in League Vision score, that doesn't really tell you who was the better at putting the wards down and stuff. Like there's no real stat for support.
I think it's like zombie wards or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I saw some like pause that like Labyrinth was a god on bar because he had like 100 vision score. Yeah, but it's like half of it was just zombie wards, right? So
yes.
And on bar it's also a bit easier to just kill wards because they can't really catch, so you just run around them.
Well, I mean, I think also, I feel like the Rift Herald fight is almost always determined by which bot lane's winning, because the support that roams first, it just feels like, okay, well, if one support is just like 5 seconds before the other one on the Herald fight, doesn't matter what the fuck is going on the other side of the lane. I feel like that's actually just an interesting like little meta shift that's happened, where it felt like before there was way more Herald swaps. Like the bot lane that was winning would just like hard push and then just swap to Herald and then try to take it. And it seems like now that's not really the meta anymore. I mean, I don't know if it's just mainly because of TP or what on AD carry, but it seems like right now the meta is you keep your AD carry bot lane and your support just roams up first, and like the Herald just is. I mean,
it's really nice to keep him bot because he can just catch the wave faster, and he's just hiding for most of the part, so enemy team doesn't really know if he's there or not. And what happens is that if enemy AD is there and you go there and he is actually on Herald as well, and you're gonna lose the fight, you just wasted whole time to walk through bot top,
you gain the
and
waves.
You don't get anything, right? Mm-hmm. So people mostly like will try to maybe dive your ADC bot and stuff like this, or at least push the wave and have a faster recall on your AD. So yeah, that's why people do it.
Yeah, we saw Perks almost losing a game completely off that in LEC. That game where he played like Ashe into Malphite, he actually roamed top to the Herald fight, and it was just like, all right, now you're just down like 20, 30 CS the rest of the game. Never able to contest the lane again. So I think it's...
I actually thought, I didn't watch this game too much. I actually thought they got like stomped in lane by Upset and Jactroll, but they were like quite even, and then he just got behind by this stuff.
Yep.
Do you think you're the best support? Could you be the best support? You believe it?
I think
just be yourself, your own opinion.
Right now, me and Kaiser are the best, I think. Then it's Mickey. But I think I would put him on our levels, like he's really well. So yeah, I think those three supports are the best.
Here's the thing, Vander. People know my style. Like, I've told this story once in the past. I won't go through the whole thing now, but one time I basically was in an esports setting where we were getting loaded into a van to go somewhere for 3 hours. And as the guy closed the door, the guy next to me goes, "Hey, I'm from Israel." So the first question I asked was like, "What do you think of Palestinian people?" Like, as a door's being close to like a 3-hour car journey. So I don't give a fuck, mate. So that's preamble to ask this question here. Like I said earlier, you came in with Jankos. The two of you were like an amazing duo. You were doing an awesome job. You even had that great run at Worlds where you both came top 4 in H2K. But since then, let's be real, mate. Lots of fans only watched LEC the last couple of years. Like, to them, Jankos is a god, and you're like a decent player who's an old school player who's having a good split now. Like, doesn't part of you look at like what happens to Jankos' career in the meantime and think like that could have been me? That should be me?
I mean, that's just how life works in general, no? It's like, Jankos is really good, and he was also always working really hard, and I was like always saying that I think he deserves it. All the comments are like this. It's really good. And yeah, if I was probably good enough, I would be there as well.
How do you think he has been able to maintain it, though? Because I always say the thing that amazes me about Jankos and why I actually genuinely do think he should be like a candidate for like best Western player in any region is just look how many years he's been one of the best. Like, the guy's basically never had a bad season in League of Legends. Like,
except for right now.
I mean, yeah, in theory, you're right. Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, in general, like his version of a bad split's like what would be like a normal split for another player. So, like, how has he done it? What's his secret, do you think, Vander?
I don't know. He's like playing League all the time. He's like streaming all the time. He's not enough season stuff like this. So I don't know. I guess he loves playing the game in general. Quite dedicated, and I don't know. He's just like smarter than other junglers with a lot of experience. I think also I have this partly as well. That is like, even if I'm not playing too well mechanically or stuff like this in some games or on some champions, it doesn't really matter that much because other players on my role will be like too stupid to use it. And I think like it's similar with jungle when it comes to Jankos. He just plays the game like quite simple. He doesn't. He just knows how to win. You know, every player. There are some players who know how to win and some players who don't know.
You know, by the way, Dom, I don't know like what you would say this, because I know as a streamer, a lot of streamers, remember I heard when Dyrus first shifted from being a pro to a streamer, like a lot of them, the reason they quit playing League is they don't actually enjoy the game anymore. Like, you know, they enjoyed maybe being a famous streamer in League or a famous pro player in League, but like the game being enjoyed went away years ago. I mean, I said on that last, I think it was on the episode of the Crackdown. I can't remember. No, maybe it was someone inside. I was talking on there about how I did an interview with Soaz in literally summer of 2013, where he told me like, "Oh, I don't play League of Legends because I enjoy the game anymore. I actually hate the game and top playing, but I just play because I like to be competitive." And I remember thinking, like, "Fuck it, that was like 6 years ago, dude. Like, what?" But that just shows like how dedicated some people are. But that's what's weird, right? When you say that line, it's a famous thing people used to say about Reckless and Froggen rather. People they just love League of Legends basically. Like, they would play it for free, even if they didn't get paid, and they play during their off seasons why they've like had such ridiculously long careers. That is actually such an underrated quality, though, because it's the same as people saying like, "I want to win." Like, anyone can say the words; it doesn't mean it's real, though. The people who actually genuinely really love League of Legends and like that's what they want to do every day is play League of Legends. It's not a coincidence. Most of those people who were the pros are the ones who've had the amazing careers. Like, I bet it's the same with Faker, dude. I guarantee Faker actually genuinely, even in 2020, enjoys playing fucking League of Legends. That is so rare. A lot of people might like what League of Legends brings them, or, you know, some days when they're winning, they might like it. But I bet a lot of pros don't actually love the game.
Yeah, it's for sure true in a way, because I remember there was like Schalke Spring Split, 2K18. I really didn't like playing League in this split, because it was like double relic meta. No, it was like double relic.
Right.
You were playing only Braum and Tamkench because they're like two best relic champions, and you were just farming the whole game as bot lane, and everything was happening for top side, and you couldn't really move to top side because I don't know, something was like you were losing too much like pressure on bot, and then it was you couldn't get back too much. So you were just like stuck in lane with Braum and Tam and just throwing Qs at each other and then tipping back with Spellbook, and it was quite boring. But when this meta changed to like others, then yeah, I enjoyed playing the game much more, and I do enjoy it now. And it's just I just play better. You just play better when you like what, in general, you do. In general life, right? You do better if you enjoy what you're doing.
Mate, it applies to these shows I do. It's one of the reasons why people don't get it as to why I start some shows that are with like nobody's. Some of them never go anywhere, by the way. Like Narrative Wake was never going to have 100,000 views on every VOD. Like it's such an obscure show. But I do the shows if I enjoy the conversation. Like it's mostly I should pick people I like to talk to and topics I want to talk about. And that way you can't lose. So in the same sense, yeah, I agree. If you have that in your back pocket that you actually like what you're doing, the results are secondary at that point in time.
Yeah. No, I mean it's 100% applicable to the co-streams and things like that, where I think a part of the reason that they're so successful is because people can feel my success, or reasons why they were so successful is because people could feel my passion for like LCS and whatever.
You obviously weren't pretending, you weren't acting like you couldn't have done it for that many hours, mate. It's the same with people like LS. Like when people say, because a lot of us who are content creators get that common criticism, like you're just doing it for money and clicks and stuff. It's like, mate, if you even knew what like the opportunity cost some of us have when we do like other people's shows, like I put it this way, when Dom came and did my show the other week, he doesn't get paid anything for that. He just gave up the chance to make hundreds of dollars in those hours streaming instead, just to do the show. Like the idea we're only doing it for that, we're not. We might be doing it for that and other things, yeah, of course, but like that's always such a whack angle to go with against people who are content creators.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a whack angle to go on anyone. It's like, oh shit, like you just want money. It's like, well, newsflash, this is a fucking world, and everyone needs fucking money to survive. So like everyone's doing everything for fucking money. You think LEC is signing that deal with a fucking organization that supposedly oppresses?
We'll talk about that later. I mean, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. You think that's for anything besides for money? Like Jesus Christ.
See, there we go.
But I mean, I agree that it's also true. I talked to like some experienced players, right? And it's like, I think every player who played like highest league, he enjoyed the game at some point, right? But then people who kind of lost this enjoyment, they're no longer here.
Yep.
Even if they are, you just usually can tell by that. Like, I'll give you an example. People might think I'm talking out of school here, but I don't think I might know this person on a literal personal level. I think Doublelift's an example of someone who doesn't like League of Legends and hasn't for probably years at this point in time. That's the reason he keeps wanting to take splits off, or when he plays, he doesn't seem to play as well during the regular split, and then he gets way better in the playoffs. Like, what that tells me, from knowing him personally and from the interviews, etc., is that someone who likes competition. He likes winning. He likes being the best. That's the reason, in my opinion, I've always said this, in my opinion, Doublelift's trash talk isn't for the fans and everyone else. That's like a clever reason he later on found to do it, because it makes you sound smart, like you're some like 200 IQ fucking Jenga player who's just like maneuvering everyone with Game of Thrones moves. The real reason he trash talks is for himself. He does it to get himself in the game. You notice the people he picks. He never picks like Uzi I and goes, Uzi I's trash compared to me, I'm going to beat him, because that's not going to happen. What he does is he'll pick a guy who's his rival right now, like Sven, if Sven's in TSM and he's in Team Liquid, or someone who's like fucking Wild Turtles. He'll just pick someone who's his rival, and the whole reason he trash talks is to get himself into it. It's like the Michael Jordan Last Dance shit. He can't be motivated for every regular season game, but if you find some anglers to like, nah, I think that guy doesn't like me, he's fucking arrogant, like suddenly the juices get going, you've got a reason to compete then. So if you don't love the game, you better be really creative like that. You've got to find a million other reasons to fucking succeed. Better be your money, better be supporting your teammates or trying to win a championship or something. You can have other motivations as well, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess we never actually got the answer out of Vander, but if you were to go for your top 4 teams that you think are going to make Worlds,
that's
LEC,
right.
Who do
just
you actually
from the beginning? Who did he make? I mean, he sounded like maybe Fnatic's not on this. So who's on the list then?
Exactly.
Is Rogue definitely on it?
I mean, well, we are. I think we can be on the list, on the top 4. I mean, I would put in my like favorites would be us, G2 Mad Lions. And then the 4th spot is between Origen and Fnatic. Right? I don't
and
think
are you leaning one way on that at the moment?
SK, no chance.
I mean, other teams I don't think have any.
What do you think it makes? What do you think it is that makes SK, so high in the standings? Like I've heard from other players, they say like the macro of them is really good. I mean, the individual players don't really stand out besides from maybe Crowny. Why do you think SK just has had such a turnaround the split from playing them?
I mean, from scrimming against them, I think they are really try hard in general, so they have some edge on over the teams who
are they good in
practice
scrims?
that serious. Yeah, they're pretty good in scrims. It's nice scrimming them because they always try hard and are more like on stage, while some teams they do just like really weird stuff that they'll never do on stage.
Right.
Us sometimes too, I think we do it, that some players play too aggressive and they don't really do it. The games go kinda weird. So I think they have this consistency right now, and they are a decent team, but I don't think that they can beat other teams that matter. So I would say they are right now what we're kinda last. We are decent, but we couldn't beat the best. And I think that's SK right now.
Well, I mean, like we've seen them actually like take games off these teams though recently. So like, what do you think that that's just because it's regular season and once we get into best of fives, like throw that shit out of the window? Like that's not going to be possible anymore.
I mean, they beat like Mad Lions, but I don't know. Mad Lions was Human Lions was playing like trolling this game.
Yeah,
so,
the Syndra game. That was
yeah.
troll.
So this game was just like given to them a little bit. I mean, I don't want to take away from them. They play like decent, but I don't think they should win this. So this was like a one-time thing that Mad Lions got a bit too ahead of themselves. And then, I mean, they had some nice strats like Twitch Yumi. I think that's like got them a win or two as well. It's quite annoying to play against. And as I said, they're like decent teams, so they will win some games, they lose some games. But when it comes to like best of five, I don't think they will. And everyone's like the top on their top form. I don't think maybe they will, but.
Okay. You cut out a little bit at the end, but I assume you said you don't think that they'll win.
Yeah. So when everyone plays serious, I don't think they can be better.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, I guess that limits you down to just Origen and Fnatic for that final spot. If you were a betting man and you had to bet, who would you say, Origen or Fnatic? Because that's where I feel like everyone is just going Fnatic because of like history.
Yeah, I would go Fnatic. I mean, Fnatic won last game against Origen as well. I mean, it always comes down. I mean, also comes down a lot to how Jactroll will play. I don't think he played good enough last 2 weeks for them to be top 4. So if he plays better, I think they can beat Fnatic, but it will be down. I think him and Hidisang play quite similar. So it's really important who has better support in this matchup, because when it was like Destiny, I think bot lane was just like chilling a bit and both were farming. It was like both fine for records and upset. And then it was like mostly around top side, who's gonna win Alphari and Buipo. But now
even though I know what Vander means, even though I know he just means like playing style, that tells you where Hylissang's at in his career. He's just been compared to fucking Jactroll in Summer Split of 2020.
I mean, it's like his I mean, it's like top 4 and top 5 team, right? So yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
It's not an insult to get compared to Jactroll.
I mean,
that's what I meant to insult.
Yes, I know you. I know. I'm just trying a bit. Sorry.
I mean, I just feel like Jactroll the last 2 weeks have been just a perfect summation about like Jactroll's career and how you evaluate him, right? Because he looked like the first week he came in, right? He looked pretty good. Everyone's just like, oh shit, maybe this is why Origen picked him up. Like, looked solid, not making that many mistakes. Like, he seems like he adds something to the team. He's like forcing some aggression into Origen where they're not an aggressive team in general. And last week he just runs it the fuck down. Like, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. He hard sprinted it for 2 games straight and like almost solo lost those games. Like that Rakan game. My God, that was a fucking awful game. Like he's
by the way, like this is one of those things. I'll make a prediction right now. This is why OG won't be good enough. Like I even said this when he joined the team. I thought Destiny had big issues, so I do think it was probably worth gambling on Jactroll, especially if you know financially where OG is as a team. It's just like I said at the time of the move. It's not ever going to make them that much better though. Like a best case scenario, it's a mild upgrade. So I'll make this prediction. The reason this won't work is because, as you were saying there, What happened last week is what I expect most weeks to look like if Jactroll plays the way he normally has in his career. This is the problem. It's not like all 5 players in OG are super passive and don't want to play the game. I'm going to go ahead and guess the reason why they all go along with that style is because I bet the others, everyone in the world has played. I've always said this, right? The guy, I'm sure I've said it on the show, Dom. The guy I hate in League of Legends isn't the guy who runs in and dies.
Oh, of course.
It's the guy who never runs in. It's the guy where even when you go in for a favourable chance, like, dude, we've got like a 60-40 fight, you look behind you and he's just gone already. Like, he's just out of the fight, like fucking Nemesis in most of this, but he's just already going to the base, you know, like to get his items and shit. Like, he needs a courier in fucking Dota 2 before he'll take a team fight. So, like, that's the player I hate. So I would imagine in OG, dude, I bet it trains you real quick not to go for those players when you've got the fucking teammates they have. It's like the old school. I'll tell you an anecdote. Back in the day when I did an interview with Genja, who was obviously like the most mysterious player ever, because he only spoke Russian, 0 English, by the way, 0. He's never spoken to anyone in English ever. I don't think he even spoke in fucking Russian after teammates, but he used to be the most mysterious player. So I did an interview with him that was fully translated, and it was by actually like the coach of his team, like not the coach in like the sense now, but like the manager guy who books the flights. So it was someone who knew him and was giving me like literally what he was saying. And dude, he once told a story where I was saying to him, like, Genja, like, how did you deal with playing with Edward? Because, you know, Edward's normally like a very aggressive player who likes to go for players. And he goes like, yes, like, obviously I'm doing the translated version. He goes like, yeah, simple story, actually. I will play in the scrim with him. And if he goes forwards like this, I will just pull back and let him die. He will learn his lessons. Like, that's what I imagine being an aggressive player in OG's like. It's like, dude, no doubt the first few times you go, come on, guys, I'll show you how it's done. Follow me. And then it's like, eventually, the meme would be like, being in OG's, like if at the end of fucking Lord of the Rings, Aragorn turns around and goes, for Frodo, and runs, and he's just on his own. And then like Newtook's just watching going, ooh, that could turn out bad. Ooh, are they all like, isn't that the forces of Mordor? Ooh, I don't know. I think I'm going to wait till 45 minutes. I'm going to side lane, mate. Like, that's fucking OG, mate. So I'm predicting this ain't going to work. I'm saying last week is the rest of the time. Like, they'll win the odd game, because I do think he brings something to the team. I think your angle on, like, he's a positive inter. I don't know about how positive it is, but put it this way, he did need some of that. I'm with you on that. I think that angle actually is a solid one. For the balance of the roles, he makes sense, but it's not enough to make OG an elite team. Come on. Like, if they make it to Worlds, it's because Fnatic must really suck.
I kind of feel like Jactroll would fit more to the teams like, let's say, G2. Because in G2, everyone likes to play aggressive. And
oh
they
my God, just imagine G2 Jactroll, like if that came out, the news came out.
I think this would be this could be a decent fit. Or to a team that he played like in Vitality before, so like Attila and Jizuka. I mean, Jizuka was like the most conflict mid lane, like I think I ever played against. So it's like Attila was also like to just fight in lane, right? And trade and play like Dravens and shit like this. So I think, and they had also Kikis and Gilius, so they're both also like aggressive junglers. So I think that's the kind of team that he fits into, and he can do better than team that OG is right now, where people try to play more methodical, and play slower in general in the game. And he can play like this for 5-6 minutes, but then he will just get bored and try to force a fight and most likely die because others are not ready for it, right? So either others have to change a little bit their style, or he will just do what Destiny did, but a bit worse, I think, because he doesn't really fit for that style. Mm-hmm. Destiny was like a perfect guy that will just be reliable, like put some wards, go mid sometimes, you know, tie a gank with Nautilus, and was working sometimes as well. So I don't think...
I'm going to give everyone a little piece of insight here as to how you understand this show with Vander. It's going to explain everything he said so far. Like, because one of the things I pay attention to in interviews, like specific words people use. This is how I know Vander has become actually a really good captain in League of Legends. Because whenever I used to play as a captain in my teams in Counter-Strike, one of the main things I always did, it's actually where I developed a lot of my philosophy on how you judge people, is I always had a rule, which is that if you're the leader and you're the captain, you always take responsibility for the result, right? Win or lose. So to take responsibility, that also means that you then have to be responsible with how you give other people when you delegate as the boss to someone else what they're going to do. You have to learn if you're fucking up. So what I always say, I've said it on this show many times, is if you tell someone to do a job that you don't know if they can do and they fail, that's okay. You're allowed to do that. He failed. But if you then give him that job again and you know he failed last time, next time it's your fault. Like, you gave him that responsibility. So what you learn eventually is when you have players who have problems with how they play, or like certain tendencies that they just do. So it could be a jungler who just goes way too deep, like old school contracts, or Blabber if he wasn't in this year's Cloud9. When you have a player like that, you don't criticize them every time. Like, why are you doing that? Like, you're going too great. What you do is you just learn. That's kind of who he is. So I know that. So I'm going to play around that myself. I'm going to put that in my mind that he plays this way. And then I'm going to try and make that work well. And I'm going to take the negatives of that and just make them not as big a deal. Right? Basically, whenever Vander uses the word reliable, he doesn't use it like we do, Dom. We use it as like, oh, someone I can rely upon. Yeah, like he's a trustworthy guy, sturdy. Vander just means reliable. It's like, I know what that guy's going to do. So when he knows like what Jactroll or whatever's going to do, he just goes, he's reliable. We know exactly what he's going to do. Now we've got to fucking win this game, boys. Like, well, he's out there.
What I mean by reliable, so Destiny or Nemesis, I mean, those are the players who will not get your team much advantages, but they will not...
Sure.
Not like lose you the game, right? And there are some players who, like Hillisang or Buipo, let's say, they are not reliable. They're like high risk, high reward players.
High variance, yeah, sure.
Who will either carry you the game or they will probably lose you the game. And
yes.
I think Jactroll is also one of those players. So then you have to make your team kind of work around it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also, of course, best to be player that. I mean, some players are not like both reliable and can carry, right? But
yeah, of course, that's rare, of course, but yeah.
Yeah, like the best players are like that.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like when you look at somebody like Jactroll, he's never gonna. I feel like the thing you have to be careful of is not going too far to the other extreme where you're like, no, don't do any of those like aggressive hits. Like, you just need to play consistently, because then he's just gonna be straight up fucking bad, because he's still gonna die randomly.
You remember the original story of that? I used to think this is an example where TSM didn't have any clue about coaching. You remember the story of when Wild Turtle was in TSM, and they were even saying in their reality show, not as a joke, we've just banned him from flashing forwards. I remember doing talk shows being like, is everyone else just cool with this? Like, that's the opposite version of the wrong advice. Like, you don't hire a guy and then just don't ever flash forwards ever in the game. Like, you can't even be a professional player and have that as your rule. Like, at that point, you should either literally fire the guy, or you need like a way better approach, like a tempered approach to bring in, like, say, bring like 15% of his aggression down. Because obviously there's like, as you're saying here, Dom, like, you can't just go the other way. Like, what would be the point in taking that player and then telling him to do none of it?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we had this rule in the Rocket as well with Woolite that he was not allowed to flash forward. And
yeah, and now he's not on your team anymore. Congratulations, you ruined his career. I hope you're happy. So it is what it is. Was that actually a rule with Woolite?
True.
Not true.
I mean, it was. I remember Jankos got like really mad at some point because Woolite was like inting a bit with like flashing forward, and then Jankos got like Jankos got a bit mad about it. It was just like screams, you know. So then, I mean, there was not like a rule that he can't flash forward, but I think there was something we talked about it, that he should like just play. If he wants to go in, just think like 3 times about it. If you want to add, think 3. But it will just make him play. I mean, it was like 5 years ago, right? So right now, I'll never say it, because, I mean, if someone has to think 3 times before he attacks someone,
you can never do it.
Make him worse, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, it's really not good like thing to.
Yeah. That's why I think the way you said it was better. Like, instead of saying like, what should he do to be perfect for OG, which is just unrealistic, it's better to just do what you did. Like, think of what would be a team that would fit him. I like that approach better. In my opinion, more things should be based around that. It's like you've got to find people that they fit together. It doesn't mean you have to fit together like you're both the same player. Sometimes you can be, as we said in the past with Fnatic, you can be totally different players like Hillisang and Reckless, and that might actually complement each other perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, we played some scrims against OG recently, and I could notice Upset tries to, for example, kind of fit into Jactroll more, so he plays more aggressive and dies more. But I don't know for how long he will want to keep this style, because I mean, he always has his KDA numbers quite high, so you know.
Upset
not sure if he'll not get tired of following up there, but
is Upset just a KDA player?
I think sometimes in official games when he sees his team is losing, and
he doesn't. We'll put it this way:
he might play a little bit KDA. He might play a little bit KDA, but in general, he's not KDA player. I wouldn't say so, but you can see some. I mean, it's mostly AD carries who, when they think teamfight is a bit lost and they're like 3-0-1, they're like, I'll just maybe farm golems and I'll get this new item, you know. I'll for sure carry, even though they get Elder and Nash, you know, and they just come to your base and destroy it.
Yeah, he's like, no, but I can get my
but they even tried, the worst thing is they even tried to give you false hope, you know. It's like, don't worry, guys, I'll just farm those golems, get 1 more zeal, and I'm going to carry next team. You know? And then you see an enemy team with Nasher and the Elder going through. I mean, yeah.
Basically, the ADC version of that content, solo queue still farming top laners Nasus while we're all just dead after 10 team fights.
Yeah.
The ADC version of that. They're like, sorry, I'm
not saying only upset does. It's like
no, it's exaggerated.
Few ADs. I mean, few ADs do is like you can.
Reckless.
AD is like the most role that players do it, right? That they just.
Yes.
The thing is a bit lost. Okay, I would just like keep my KDA and farm a bit more. Which I mean, for Reckless, it was working like the most out of any people, I would say, because he was kind of famous. Yeah, he's really good at losing lane. Yeah? Some people.
No, but he was also actually good at that style. Like he would sometimes win the game off it.
I mean, he did play those like Tristana, Twitch, and Civil. Just farm the whole game, even though his team is losing, and then he would carry team fights on 6 items. But I guess it doesn't work. This style doesn't work anymore because I didn't see him doing it for long.
Yeah. I always feel like that's the most comical approach when like an AD carry is like, guys, don't worry, I just need my PD for this next team fight so I don't get one shot. And you like see the 250 shield, they get Oriana ulted, get one shot through the PD shield, like nothing even happens, and it's like, yeah, no, that made a lot of fucking difference, man. That 250 HP was gonna fucking save you there. Where it's like the best way to fucking play those types of games is just coin flip it. At that point, you almost want to be engaged on as an AD carry. It's like, oh, they use Shockwave maybe, or like, oh, Azir tried to shuffle me, maybe we trade 1-for-1. You know, the AD carries at some point, their life is just not important anymore. Like when you're losing hard enough. So
it's also just the obvious response. Like since you're the roller in the team fight, especially now, you need everyone's help to stay alive. It's like they're just the guys who have like the trust issues. So if they feel like they don't trust their team, they're just like, I'm not fucking falling back with you motherfuckers behind me. Like get away from me. So I totally understand why if you're upset in that scenario, you're just like halfway in the game. You're like, right, pause. Can I win this game? No. How do I not look like the worst player in the game, though? And then you go, and then at the end of the split, you go, well, I was one of the better parts of the team. And then you see if you get into fucking, well, sadly, in this case,
Origen.
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 I hope you get a good team at that point in time, obviously.
Yeah. All right, well...
the person I feel the most sorry for this year is Upset. Dude, he thought he was joining like a contender that, I'm going to join the Squid team. It's going to be money. It's going to be everything. It's like, there's none of that stuff, mate. It's not. In fact, your upgrade is Jactroll. Enjoy the year.
I just think Upset... I mean, there was like the core from the Schalke, right? When we played together, it was like Nuke, Andre, the coach, Guillot, and him, right? So I think he just joined the team just to play again with them. And I think, I mean, everyone knows Alfaro is really good, so that's also part where he joined for sure.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't try to take like some other support than Destiny.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying Destiny is bad or anything, but when you make a team and you take Destiny, it's a little bit of a coin flip. What kind of player he's gonna be? Is like he has to travel to like a different continent. It's like. You don't know how the person will function.
Well,
in general, like this, I feel.
I mean, I heard that he didn't even know who his support was going to be. Like, they like started building the roster. They're like, oh, you got Alfari as your top laner, Nuke Duck. I mean, he's your boy from mid lane. You know the coach. Xerxes always been a solid jungler. And they're like, oh, and you're going to get a support too. He's like, oh, okay, I trust you guys. Like, from what I've heard, the story is that he just trusted management on it. He didn't, like, there was rumors that he requested Destiny. And then I actually talked to him and he didn't request Destiny. He just trusted, like, management, coaching staff, all that guy. And then, like, all those guys, and they just threw in an OCE support. They're like, oh, yeah, but your support's from OCE. It's like, wait, what the fuck? It's like, all right, get out there and like fucking play some League of Legends. Upset. Good luck in lane.
Yeah, I mean, I also heard that management chose Destiny because he had some nice engages during wildcard tour before Worlds.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets back to the next one.
Yeah, maybe next.
Yeah, Jesus. All right, well. We were so we're on a time limit today because of obligations that people have here. But is there any like topic that you want or anything you want to talk about before we jump into the NEOM stuff with Thorn? Is there anything that like we missed on the show? Like, do you have anything that you really want to discuss?
Anything people don't talk about Vander or Rogue that we should talk about more?
Any controversial opinions? You know, anything to clickbait? You know, whatever you want.
I mean, I just think people don't. People should think that me and Hans are like best bot lane. Okay. Right now. And then I think I don't really care about anything else. I think Larsen is also really good, but I think people focus too much on him, and I think too little. I think Hans deserves credit. He's a beast.
Hans Sama is a beast. You heard it here first. All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Larson. Last 15 minutes, we're going to be talking about this new news that came out from LEC today with their partnership with NEOM. We don't want Vander to get fired, so we're gonna let him go here. But thank you for coming on the show, Vander. I appreciate all the insight you guys gave all the insight you gave to LEC and bot lanes, etc. So appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite.
Yep. Anytime, man. See ya. So for this segment, we are mainly going to be talking about the news that we got today. So today, if people are unaware, the LEC partnered with NEOM, and NEOM is it's essentially a new cyber city, or a futuristic city that's going to be made in Saudi Arabia. It's headed by a Saudi Arabian prince named Mohammed bin Salman, and it's obviously super controversial knowing how Saudi Arabia is in relation to LGBTQ rights, etc. So we're going to discuss a little bit about this move because everyone's up in arms. There's obviously people that work within LEC that are openly gay or openly lesbian, etc. So I think that this move caught everyone by shock, especially considering how I think last week was Pride Week in Berlin, and they've been really promoting this LGBTQ positivity as
even
well.
on LEC broadcast, they've worn those t-shirts and all that. All sorts of things, right?
Yeah, so it seems pretty crazy to me that this is their stance, especially considering how Riot's been trying to get away from the whole notion of sexism. And Saudi Arabia is still blatantly sexist. You need to have women need permission from their male guardians to pretty much do almost anything there. So I guess we wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's such breaking news, and I think it caught everyone off guard. I've never seen so many people within an organization stand out publicly against one of those sponsors. That's normally the type of thing that would just get you fired instantly. So let's just talk about it a little bit. What was your first impression when you heard of this news, Thorin?
I think the thing that surprises me the most about this is kind of like what you alluded to when you described it, is that it's probably the most blatant example I've seen of this. In the past, we've had similar things happen. So, for example, there was a CS tournament that held their global finals in Bahrain. Now, they didn't do that because Bahrain's the best place to have a Counter-Strike tournament, all the rest of it. It's because they were obviously paid by business interests in that area to put on an event there. Now, the problem with that is they're also a company that had represented themselves as supporting certain causes, which that country and its human rights record doesn't really align with. So the problem basically I come down to on this one is it's just the most glaring example of why you can't be someone who's going to go out there claiming that you're an ardent supporter, not just that you even have sympathies towards something, or I'm with, in spirit, I'm with these people. No, you're claiming you support these people. You live your life that way. You put it's your principles. That's why you're putting it on your Twitter and your Instagram. You want it to be known to the world that these are the important things in life to you. These are the moral questions that you deliberate over. And then, what's that, boss? To still get my money, I have to essentially accept blood money and slavery money. Cool. Yeah, no problem. Put out a tweet saying that I don't like this, but make sure the money comes in. Is the accountant there? Money still coming in? That just makes you look like a massive hypocrite. That's why I would suggest to people, be very careful what you claim you really support. Because if you only support that thing when you're not being paid by your job, you don't really support it then. And at the same time, one other thing I would say on this topic is, I would just be very careful in general in getting into this game of picking that you're going to support one thing and not another. That's not the same as having morals and principles. You can have a moral and principle for whatever you want. But what I would say is Richard Lewis actually did a very good video on this topic, basically woke capitalism. I tweeted it today. If you go to my Twitter timeline, you'll find it. It was from a few months ago. And basically what he shows you in this video is if you ever actually look into most of the big companies in the world, because as people probably understand with transnational corporations, who the company, an example would be Ben and Jerry's, right? You're going to think, well, Ben and Jerry's just make ice cream. No, Ben and Jerry's is owned by a parent company. So the question is, what does the parent company of Ben and Jerry's do? If you look into it and you find out that morally you think the things they do are wrong, then if you then buy their products or support their service, you are actually actively supporting the things they do that are wrong. It's it's inarguable. You can't get out of that. You painted yourself into a corner on that one. So if you're going to make yourself someone who publicly flaunts how moral and upright and righteous they are, You're going to look very silly. I'd go further than that. I'd say you will look corrupt and hypocritical if you then accept your income or continue to maintain a position with and in support of, because you cannot in any way say someone who appears on the LEC broadcast doesn't support the LEC. They do. So they support the LEC and therefore the people who sponsor the LEC and who owns the LEC. So if you have questions around any of those things, if you're in talent or you're someone who works in esports, you're going to reach a crossroads and you're going to have to make a decision. And there's no way to make the decision of continue going with LEC if you claim to be against all those things or in favor of something that's contrasting, you know. So I would say it's a tough topic to talk about because, for example, this is why I generally try to not take a stand on any companies, etc. Because, first of all, I haven't investigated all of them. Most of them, at some level, are doing really fucked up shit. The difference is, like you said, this is just a really egregious one. Like, when I say the one about, like, Unilever, the company that owns Ben & Jerry's, that's, like, so many, like, degrees of separation to get to that. You could at least vaguely hypothesize a way in which, does that really count? This one's just blatant. Like, I mean, it just is what it appears to be.
I mean, for people that are unaware, like, it is actually illegal to commit a same-sex activity. It is actually illegal in Saudi Arabia, and the penalties are extremely severe. It starts with fines, public whippings, beatings, torture, vigilante attacks, chemical castrations, and incarceration up to life. And there's also capital punishment. So you can be executed for being gay, lesbian, transsexual, bisexual in Saudi Arabia. And that's where the city is going to be. NEOM, the city of NEOM is going to be in the northwestern portion of Saudi Arabia. So, like, this is some serious shit that goes on there.
In case I don't know if you know this, Dom, but one of the reasons why, again, obviously I'm not an expert on this topic, but this is one of the little few details I do know about that country. It's also because Saudi Arabia, the country, I believe their government is actually what is called a theocracy, as in it's a religious government. Mm-hmm. So as a result, their government there, in their version of whatever they interpret Islam as, that's how they run the rules of their society. So as you're saying, if it goes against what they interpret of what the Quran says or whatever, then you get beaten if you're a woman and you do X, Y, and Z, or if you're gay and you do X, Y, and Z. Like that's what happens when people, which is why I say this is such a glaring example of like hypocrisy from people who are being super woke, because it's not like I say, this guy up here who might not have any actual connection to the product owns company A that owns company B that owns company C, and then company C happens to have a cool guy in who likes esports and says, let's sponsor LEC. That's a bit like it's still the same money, but it's like you can sort of rationalize that one away. This one is just like a literal government that does stuff that a lot of people would claim they find objectionable, essentially through a project is sponsoring LEC. That's about it. Like, you don't need many other, there's no more degrees there, guys. You just go straight. It's like the guy finishes cutting someone's head off and then hands someone from LEC a fucking stack of money, and they go, what's this beetroot? Never mind. Thanks for the money anyway. We're going to need that to run the sports. Like, I would say, by the way, one final thing from our side is, do we need that? Is esports so desperate that we have to take money from anyone? I once made a joke about 5 or 6 years ago, I think it was on Twitter, and I meant it just as a joke, which is when the first stories came out that Richard published, as I say, a long time ago, about, for example, there was a group called the Sapinda Investment Group that were investing in a bunch of esports properties that ended up being essentially money laundering scams, where they got other people to invest and then they just laundered their money, and they knew the companies would lose money and go bankrupt eventually anyway. And these people essentially, based on Richard's article, were like international corrupt businessmen. Like, one of them was a very famous guy who's never allowed to go back to Korea. If he ever goes to South Korea, he will be instantly arrested by like FBI, all sorts of people, and like probably put in prison for life for like financial crime. Well, when people like that were doing it, I made a joke at the time, because we're talking like maybe like 2013 or something. So esports was obviously way smaller. So I once joked, this is what esports should do. If we want to get all this money, we need to make people aware that since you can't make money from esports, it's a great place to launder your money. So we should get like Eastern European pimps, North African gun runners, like fucking drug cartels from South America. I was joking when I said it. I didn't know motherfuckers were actually going to go and do it. This is ridiculous. Like, so you're telling me, right, if fucking Carlos Escobar was still rolling that coke fucking program down in South America, what would he be sponsoring LCS or something? What is this shit? Like, where's the line for LEC? That's the question, right? I mean, where's the line, guys?
Yeah, I just feel like I just really want to see what happens with the people that are on the production team, right? Like, especially somebody like Frostgurn. You have somebody who is openly lesbian, is super pro LGBTQ rights, now having to cast for a company that's sponsored by people that execute others for being gay? Like, that is just crazy to me. So are we going to lose one of our best casters because of this? Like, do you think that there's a world where Froskurian just quits because she doesn't want to be associated with, such a ridiculous company?
Obviously, I have to 100% speculate. I haven't talked to Froskurian in literally years and years at this point in time. So my speculation, unfortunately, I'm going to be cynical. I'm going to say the reason she made those tweets is to not have to do anything. Those tweets were her version, in the same way, by the way, as when the people tweet about these topics other times and all they do is make a tweet. They go, right, sent the tweet, so that's the universe fixed. Now I don't have to actually do anything about that issue, and then they go on with their life. So what I think, unfortunately, is she tweeted right now to make people stop saying, "What are you going to do for us? Why haven't you done anything?" My problem is this: is if you make as strong comments as she has, and I don't want to make it just her. I think anyone in their position who's ever made really, really strong comments that you support a certain cause and that certain things. For example, if someone made a joke that was considered anti-LGBT, I'm pretty sure people like this would demand they be fired from esports. So if the logic is, oh, but if they're really rich, then actually I'll even work for them. That seems like you are a fucking hypocrite at that point in time. You actually seem like you just sold out your principles just for some money. And like I said, we're not talking about like esports would have nothing without these companies. They wouldn't. Like, it would still be it'd basically be like 90% of the space it is now. They're not like the lifeblood of our scene. So personally, I won't say for Froskurian specifically, I don't know well enough and I can't comment on what she should specifically do, but someone in her position, in my opinion, if they really are so strongly stand in favor of certain things, and especially against certain things, logically they would have to quit their job, in my opinion. That would be the only way to be like consistent with their principles that they have espoused. And I say that, by the way, as someone who has done that. I mean, I'm not going to go into the details because it's not worth going into anyway, but basically, I mean, I've said it on Twitter. I literally, if people know CSGO, they might be able to guess what I'm talking about. I literally gave up $50,000 worth of work this year because I didn't want to work with people under certain conditions. Like, they were demanding I couldn't say certain things, or I couldn't be involved in other side work. I just told them I won't work under those conditions. So even if I have this contract worth all this money, we'll just have to end it. So we did and moved on our separate ways. That's what it costs to have principles, guys. It's fucking expensive. You don't ever win from having principles, by the way. Like, if you have principles that go against your current prevailing society, you get fucked by society. If you have principles that go in favor of what people want, like, oh, I'm against corruption and stuff, but all the businessmen are corrupt, they just fuck you out of your job. Like, you never win. It costs you. But that's the point of having principles and being moral, is that you believe something is right or it is wrong. And if it is wrong, you do not do it and you do not associate with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the other angle is obviously, so that's the LGBTQ stuff, but then the other part is just like the sexism within Saudi Arabia. I mean, we're talking about a very, very like primitive level of ideas towards women. I mean, I believe that they weren't even able to, like, women were not even able to like drive until recently in Saudi Arabia, like in the last couple of years.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like women aren't able to drive. So like, I feel like it's so weird coming from the angle of like, obviously they're in this class action lawsuit right now, like Riot's in this class action lawsuit. Wouldn't you not want to associate with a company that has has sexism rooted deep within it at this time? Like, doesn't that seem like a weird partnership given what is going on right now within Riot? Like, to me, it doesn't make sense.
But the problem is that that's one thing I should probably say, actually, is my final point. This is why I'd suggest people go and watch that video that Richard did. Essentially, the gist, I should have made this as my point. The gist of the point of that video was, every company is fake. No company has principles. Companies don't have values and principles. But as marketing, they're clever enough to know that because people have values and principles, if you communicate, not even that you say you have them, if you just communicate to people, I have similar values and principles as you, and I'm a company, people will actually be tricked and think of that company like a person and go, that's cool, I'll give them my business. And that's basically the game that is being played. So even though from the perspective of what these companies say they represent, I agree with you, it seems super hypocritical, like, why are you doing that? But that's the point. These companies don't ever think that anyone's going to notice. They think the guy in America is going to see them say, I love Pride, and go, oh, brilliant, that's what my culture says is good. And then they think that the guy in the Middle East who goes, well, I hate that, they're going to go, yep, it's fine with us. We'll just say nothing about it. They think that no one's going to notice that. Or at least, by the way, not enough people are going to notice it. Like, most LEC viewers probably never know about this. It's on Reddit, yeah. It'll blow up for a day or two. But I doubt it'll stop people watching. I doubt most people will actually do anything in process. They'll just make tweets like most of the talent have. So I would say that's the big problem is, in general, don't think any companies are actually woke. They're not. They just are when it's like financially or politically expedient, in my opinion. They're all full of shit. Like, yeah, you can have cool people who work for companies. So I'll give you an example. If Jack Etienne is still like a key figure within Cloud9, that would make me think favorably of Cloud9 because I know who he is as a person. But if he leaves tomorrow and some other guy buys Cloud9, then I wouldn't think of Cloud9 as a company with certain values, but I'd have to find out who the new person was and what they were trying to do in terms of that corporate philosophy. So I think people in general, I think this could just be a really useful moment. I don't know whether anything can happen with LEC, but this could be a great moment for a lot of people to just wake up that these are just companies who want your money. They don't give a fuck about any of the values they're talking about. They just care about maintaining social status quo because they're succeeding within it and then making your money. And they will do whatever it takes to get either of those two. So if they're in a country where being gay is cool, they will say they love it. And if it's a country where they kill you, they will literally either say they hate it or say nothing and remove stuff that said they loved it elsewhere. So just for the younger people out there, just look into that topic and you'll probably be surprised by how transparent the world actually is when you just look at certain details. You know, I've got to run now anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's a good place to end the show. We got everything from talks with Vander and Thorin about LEC, and then we got a little bit of this talk about the new NEOM company that has sponsored LEC with like all the human rights violations and everything within Saudi Arabia. So thank you for being here, Thorin, and thank you everyone in the chat for watching this episode of the Crackdown. We will see you guys next week.